The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
I like my green with crystals like Folgers, picking up momentum, rolling like boulders. They call me ice, but I'm really much colder. My rhymes is heavy like the weight on my shoulders. I'm spitting that red hot smoldering lava. I fight to the end like the Navajo. Crack a bottle though, make it the goose with cranberry and triple sec. Triple my check, I feel the ripple effect of a fool on the loose. I hit you from every angle, from obtuse to right. Street shit like JJ, I'm dynamite. Slide me some dough, I show you an execution in the flesh. And promise not to leave nothing left. If you bomb it, I keep stabbing, shooting, damaging, looting. Till it ain't no disputing who the greatest is.
Dun, dun, da, 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 da. What's up, party people? What up, party people? Thanks for joining Mike Rob Boulevard on a Tuesday night in lovely, what month is this shit? Fucking March. We in March, y'all. Damn, the year is going by fast, man. Dang. Look, thanks for joining, you guys. I got a special show for you guys tonight. We're going to talk about a few little trending items, and then we're going to dig into the fucking most interesting story of the year. You know what I mean? We got my man Nelson George in the house. Writer, director, producer, artist, and all those things. We're going to get into it, party people. All right. What's up, LaRon? We got LaRon on the boards back there. How you doing there, man? You good, dog? Yep, we got Sheena in the house, Poetess in the house, live on Morris Media. So let's get to it, man. What's up, man?
Hey, man.
Give it up to me, man.
Pleasure, man.
Yo,
Pleasure
yo.
Be in Crenshaw.
Yeah, Crenshaw. But you don't seem like you seem don't seem like a fish out of water. You fit right on.
I've been coming to LA
in.
since 1981, man.
For real?
And I used to come out here. The Comedy Act Theater is a couple of blocks away.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Yeah, and I saw Robin Harris, the Comedy Act Theater, a bunch of times. John Singleton, when he made Boys in the Hood, the production office for it was somewhere over there in that same area around.
Right, probably
Comedy
across
Act.
the street from it, right?
Yeah, and Essalon Books is my spot.
Oh, Essalon Books, man. Damn, you naming all the stuff. All right. You official? You official? Yeah. So you're from New York, though, right?
I'm from Brooklyn, yeah.
You're from Brownsville?
Brownsville originally, East New York.
Brownsville. Is that the same Brownsville that Biggie's from?
Biggie's actually, I can't tell you that. Biggie always says he's from Bed-Stuy.
He claims Bed-Stuy?
He claims Bed-Stuy, but he grew up actually in Clinton Hill. But there's nothing sexy about being from Clinton Hill.
Oh, is that right? Because I never even heard of Clinton Hill.
I'm saying, Clinton Hill is a little neighborhood between Fort Greene and Bed-Stuy.
Oh.
So he lived on off of Fulton Street. What the hell is this? South Street. I forgot the next street, but he was right there. So Bed-Stuy officially kind of starts about 5 blocks the other way.
Okay.
So if you're going to be a rapper from Brooklyn, you don't want to be a rapper. You got to claim. Right?
Bed-Stuy adjacent. That's what he should have said, man.
No, but it's like, I guess if you're from L.A., you could claim Inglewood, you could claim Long Beach, but if you're really from Ladera Heights, you don't want to claim Ladera Heights.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, man, I'm by Inglewood, man.
Exactly.
Inglewood.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. So did you know Biggie?
I met him a couple of times. I didn't know him well.
Okay.
He was actually funny. It's retrospect. It turned out that I did. He used to play. He and Little C's and some of those guys would play basketball on Green Avenue, which is kind of in between where I lived and he lived. Mm-hmm. And so he was a regular. I knew I don't know if I played ball with him, but I played around his posse because they would play. And where I was in Fort Greene was this era when you had Spike Lee, he's still based out of there, but Wesley Snipes, Chris Rock. Lawrence Fishburne, Rosie Perez. There was a lot of musicians.
Dang, everybody from right there?
All Fort Greene. I mean, Talib, Kweli, Most Common lived over there. Uh-huh. There was this crazy period from around 1985 until 2000 when it was like a black mecca over there.
Wow.
You know, jazz musicians, artists of all kinds. So they were on the other side. I mean, they were like where Biggie grew up. Is kind of in the Clinton Hillside, which is only a couple of blocks. There was a basketball court where everyone played on Green Avenue. So he and his posse used to be over there.
Oh, okay. So, but you guys got like quite an age difference though, too, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, he would have been like
He's like the young homie. Like
he was definitely, he was trying to, in fact, there's a funny story. Before he met Puff and got hooked up with them and The Source wrote about him, he was trying to get Terrence Blanchard and Donald Harrison, who were jazz musicians, but they were musicians who had record deals. So he was trying to, like, whoever he could talk to.
Right, anybody, like, let me get a verse on that, right?
Exactly.
And yesterday was the anniversary of his passing, huh? Yeah. March 9th.
Yeah, it was wild. I mean, I lived very close to where he grew up. So that famous Entourage down Brooklyn, I know, I was right there, man. And
damn.
That neighborhood now is like it's gentrified. The building that he grew up in has mad white people in it now.
Really?
Oh, that whole block, man.
Dang.
But he used to sell rocks and all that stuff. They ain't selling rocks now.
They ain't selling no rocks, son.
They're selling probably, designer bread. I mean, really, it's like
baguettes and shit.
Exactly. They're selling baguettes over there.
Damn. So I remember this. Okay, well, first of all, let me just say this. I want to give you your props on always properly representing for hip hop and really keeping like a true perspective when people or things occur that maybe get us off track. And I've seen a lot of interviews, a lot of times, a lot of pieces and clips of projects, and you always represent.
Well, I look at hip hop as an extension of black culture. And to me, black music, black culture is everything. Mm-hmm. So it's funny, when I was younger, I always say, well, hip hop is a break from it. Because there are a lot of things about hip hop that was different than R&B and so forth. But now that I got older, I see it all as a continuum. It says black music is always evolving. Like, people are always evolving. And our way we express ourselves evolves. Mm-hmm. The same way, like, trap music is pretty foreign to me lyrically. I don't get the whole trap music flow.
Right.
But the music is good. I like a lot of trap. I like a lot of production.
Yeah.
But I think I'm too old to be hearing, people talk about Molly and stuff.
Yeah,
like
exactly. I got my Molly and my AK.
Yeah.
That
doesn't do anything for me. Because I grew up on Rakim.
Right. Exactly.
And Snoop. So I think everybody, but I appreciate what it is. And the fact is that I'm not supposed to. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when I was coming up and I was an advocate for hip hop, all my friends in R&B were like, so every generation has to piss off the people before them.
True that. And I remember when I'm of the living age where I remember where there was no hip hop.
Yeah.
And my very first introduction to any type of hip hop was through that Blondie cut.
Oh, there was Rapture.
Yeah, Rapture, right? Blondie, I think Fat Five Freddy worked with her or whatever.
Yeah. And she and Chris Stein, her boyfriend, were some of the first white people to go to the Bronx.
Ah.
Like Freddie took them up.
Oh, okay.
And so it's funny, in New York, the number one group of white people to embrace hip hop initially were what we call the punks or the new wave people. Not the mainstream people, the people who were already on the edge.
Oh.
The white people who were already on the edge, they saw that as they saw that as punk to them.
Oh.
So like the initial shows of hip hop downtown, whether it was Bambaataa or Flash or some of the other folks and the breakdance groups, it was all like the Lower East Side or places like that.
Oh, okay. So y'all had like, are you talking like, I don't know, Billy Idol fans and all that?
I'm talking about Blonde. I'm talking about the Clash.
Oh, the Clash. Oh, punk like that. Oh, yeah.
They loved it.
Yeah,
because to them,
the Smiths and all that.
Yeah, to them it was more like they came from. Remember, a lot of the punks were influenced by reggae.
Facts.
So they were like, "Oh, this is like dub, or this is like toasting a backyard parties, which they had in London." So there was a lot of that flow back and forth. I mean, Blondie was the one who got on it for the Talking Heads because they got in the funk. David Byrne had a 4-piece band and he recruits Bernie Worrell. So all of those, they were the people who were most interested and curious. And it took time for the white mainstream it took a long time. We're talking about Sugar Hill Gang is 79, Rapture is 81. And, Walk This Way is probably, which is kind of a big break. Was that 80, 86?
I would say that's 85 or 6.
Yeah, and then, but still, I wouldn't say that really hip hop really, really crossed over to white people in big numbers until Raising Hell,
I was going to say,
Beastie
it starts
Boys.
with Run DMC.
Yeah, absolutely.
It starts with Run DMC as far as the spread.
Yes, absolutely.
And then that spread to the Beastie Boys, which really went to the spread.
Yeah, and then after that, you had your moment where you had your Hammer Vanilla Ice moment. Like, people forget, those guys sold 11, 12 million records. Those were big records. People kind of wrote them out of hip-hop a little bit.
Look, why was Hammer getting dissed so much, man? I guess, the
shiny pants.
Yeah, the pants. Starts with the pants.
I think it was the pants, man. I really do.
Yeah, and if you wasn't a dancer type, So, but you do remember a time when there wasn't hip-hop,
Oh, absolutely.
right?
You kidding me?
And then it happened, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Well, it's funny because I grew up in a soul house. My mother was a soul, Otis Redding,
Right.
Temptations, Al Green. Those were Gladys Knight, Aretha. They were gods in my house. So I was around all that music and became a music head. And then when I got to be a teenager, I was kind of running around New York and I was going to buy records at all these different record stores and sort of dipping my toe into these different scenes. The big moment for me was I got to be an intern at Billboard magazine in 1970. I got 2 internships because I wanted to be a writer. So 77, 78, I'm in college, and I get an internship at Billboard, which is the music trade, and one at the Amsterdam News, which is, the black newspaper in New York. So I'll show you something. I'll pull this out. So this is the book, the Nelson George mixtape.
Dope.
And I saw the first piece I did, big piece I did. This is from July 1977, and this is called DJ Herc and his B Beats.
Right? So from 19 what?
77, man. What? No, 78. This is 78. So what happened is that I had a mentor, a guy named Robert Ford, right?
Right.
He wrote for Billboard. He used to go to a place called Downstairs Records in Times Square, and the guy was telling him, "Yeah, these kids are coming up here and they're buying all these $1.99, $2.99, what they call cutout records, and they're making big bundles of them and taking them up." Because they were looking for break beats, or B beats as they were called then. So we got wind of a party on a Saturday afternoon in the Bronx. So we went up to the Bronx, Taft High School, not far from the Grand Concourse. All these kids are waiting around, looking around. A white van pulls up. A bunch of brothers get out the van. They unscrew the base of the light pole. They unscrew it. And there's wires in there. They had their own wires. They hook it up to the light pole.
Wow.
They take the wire through the fence, and then they put up big 2 card tables, and bring out these crates of records. And it's Cool Herc.
Man,
and so,
oh Lord.
So
man.
it was a what they call B beats. It wasn't break beats yet, but they were called, because he was looking for the breaks of the records, or the B beat, And then the breakers were called breaks. So all this B shit was going on, right?
Right.
And it was like when I went there, and I wrote an article about it when I in the Amsterdam News, which is it's the first article on Herc for sure, and it's one of the first articles in hip hop period,
dog.
or what we call hip hop now. It wasn't hip hop then. It wasn't hip hop for a couple of years.
So it didn't get that name, huh? It didn't have that name.
No.
It didn't have a name, right?
So I'll show you a couple of other things here that get part of that. So it was just coming up, and this is an article I did on Curtis Blow, rapping with Curtis Blow for the Amsterdam News, and this is again 78. This is 70. This is like after the breaks, and Christmas rappings come out.
Wow. So you literally went to the parks and saw it for yourself.
Oh yeah, and it was also happening all around because I lived in East New York at that time, and you remember a record called Trans Europe Express?
I do, but I can't picture
Europe Express.
Yeah.
So that was one of the first times when you understood that this wasn't disco. Disco could be this, but there was the people who were into hip hop were into different kinds of beats. So one night in that summer, whatever that was, 80, whatever, this DJ set up in this park across from my house. He played that same record, like it seemed like for hours. And so the band was Kraftwerk. So
right.
a lot of
Kraftwerk, bingo.
So a lot of their records were early sample records, and they led to what Bambaataa was doing with Planet Rock. All of that stuff. So the thing about hip hop was so cool is that it wasn't. Yes, they took from James Brown. Yes, they took from Parliament Funkadelic, but they also were taken from Kraftwerk.
Right.
They would take for whatever worked.
Yeah.
So that was all happening at the same time, like I have this article here, my first article on Billboard was on Evelyn Champagne King. So disco and hip hop were existing together. What we call hip hop were existing together. It wasn't a separation yet. It was all kind of dance music.
Right.
Only I think, I don't know the year, 82, 83, somewhere in there, the phrase hip hop started really proliferating.
82, 83.
I feel like that. I don't know how it was in LA, but it
okay, so in LA, right? You know,
I was Egyptian Lover, and that was very, very Africa Bambaataa.
Yes, absolutely. Africa Islam. Now, here's the thing. I was what I called an LA B-boy. You know, I jumped onto it quickly. I was shook. You know what I mean? Like, man, this hip hop shit is the shit. You know what I mean? So I was going to parties, going to clubs, breaking, graffiti. I was picked up all of it, right? So my introduction was this show called Graffiti Rock.
Oh, yeah, Graffiti Rock.
You know Graffiti Rock?
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, so look, we had the Graffiti Rock tape, bro. And I played that shit, man, had to be hundreds of times, man, looking at how they talk, how they was dressing, scratching. The New York City Breakers were on there.
They were fantastic.
Dancing. You know Graffiti Rock, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay, so talk about when that came out. Was it the same? Did it matter like that out there like it did out here? Because everybody was on Graffiti Rock.
Graffiti Rock was one of the, how you say it was like a satellite from another planet. Because it took what was going on in pockets of the city in New York and spread it around the world.
Right.
You know, I remember the same effect as Graffiti Rock. Do you remember the Fresh Fest tour?
Do I?
Okay.
Yes.
That was big because it's the first tour. So that was like Run, Fat Boys,
Houdini. They had some New York City Breakers, or either Rocksteady Crew or New York City Breakers.
I think Curtis Blow was on some of the shows.
They had Curtis Blow.
Right.
Curtis Blow was the headliner, right?
Yeah, I think he was.
Right, because he had the UTFO.
Right, UTFO.
And maybe a couple other cats.
So they traveled around, and that tour is so historic because it's the first time, I think, that people outside of New York saw breakers live, saw rappers live, saw scratching live. And so, I mean, there's great stories about that. I mean, I remember I've interviewed Too Short back in the day, and one of the first shows he went to was that. Like, there's a lot of people, for them, that tour was a gateway drug.
Yeah, bro. To if I want to say a real show, that was mine. That was my first time. Like, I had seen, like, Ice-T, Evil Lee, they would come to the high school and get down, you know what I mean? Or you could catch them at World on Wheels doing a verse.
World on Wheels. But didn't they have a club down here called Radio?
Radiotron, exactly.
Where was that?
Well, I mean, they call it Radio, but the full name was Radiotron. Okay. Yeah, so that was, man, in a seedy area, man, like MacArthur Park down there. Because I remember that was the single club my mom's wouldn't let me go to that, man. But you was older, though.
Yeah, I went. It's so funny because I remember that's when I came to L.A., it was the first time I really saw anything with L.A. hip-hop at that Plot Radio. It was in that building right across from MacArthur Park. Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was if you want to say the birthplace is that.
Right.
It's
of L.A. hip-hop?
As far as, other than what Lonzo was doing in Compton, you know, which was more different, like sort of dancing, partying. Just that whole element of MCing and breaking and all that was radio.
Yeah, man. I remember going here. That was, early 80s. Man. Because I think I went to see Ice-T. And it was weird, too, because because L.A. was starting to define. L.A. already had a dance thing because you had Soul Train here. So you had Soul Train and you had Electric Boogaloos and you had Wacky. You had a bunch of stuff that was L.A., but it became part of what we think of hip hop because breaking was from New York, but LA brought its own.
See, breaking out here, pop locking was bigger than breaking.
Yes, pop locking. Right.
Yeah.
Did you do that?
I mean, I can't put no claim on it. Like I got busy, but yeah, I did it. You know what I mean? Like I throw some shit like. But nah, man, it was big though. You know what I mean?
It was, yeah. Now I remember watching a breaking an Electric Boogaloo, and that was big too because it I think it was part of the dialogue where you began going, okay, this is New York now. Other places are going to bring their thing into the melting pot. But
our shit was a little Hollywood version of
it wasn't
Beach Street that just came out, man. It's like
It wasn't, but I mean, because it was still very, very. It's kind of like the LA stuff was very still Soul Train, kind of, and so it wasn't. See, people think about hip hop as this thing. If you look back now, it took a while for it to evolve into what we think of as hip hop. There were all these different, like I said, disco was a big influence. The electro kind of stuff.
Right, because keyboards had just been invented. I mean, the,
the 80 and the 808.
Yeah, and the 808 is a game changer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So all those things were happening, and people were kind of experimenting and figuring out what they were. So that's what that's what the book. So the book is kind of, I call it a mixtape. Is because there's articles about early hip hop. But there's like Prince. There's Michael Jackson. There's a lot of Marvin Gaye. So for me, it was all happening simultaneously. It was all happening simultaneously. I wasn't like, especially in the early '80s, you still had R&B was very, very big.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, Michael, and then you had Prince coming up. So hip hop was just one of those things. Hip hop didn't become the thing until the 90s. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Whitney was I have an interview with Whitney. So I was doing this I was living a very schizophrenic life as a journalist. You know, I was friends with Russell Simmons and friends with a lot of people on the Def Jam Rush world. But then I also was interviewing Whitney Houston.
Right.
I was, going to see Earth, and Fire. Luther Vandross was just popping out in, I think, 81 or 2. So all of these things were going on at the same time. And so hip-hop as a thing, that's the thing, took a long time. There was a lot of resistance.
Now, did you get any pushback from the artist side on your early writings about the culture?
It was the funniest thing. I had a lot of old R&B artists didn't like. I have a funny. I went even to OJs, and they're like, the OJs were, gods,
right? And
I remember asking. I was interviewing them for an article for Billboard, and I asked Eddie Levert, "So, what do you think of this hip hop thing?" He got up and walked away.
What?
Yeah, it's like, what are we talking about this for?
Yeah, like, how dare you waste my time?
Exactly. And so most of the R&B established people didn't get it at all. It's funny because it took a while. It took a long time for those people in the business and even the artists themselves. When Curtis used to open up Curtis and a lot of some of the earlier artists. Because Curtis had a DJ in him, Davey D in him. So he was booking gigs.
Oh, true.
And he would come out and open for Cameo or open for Function or whatever. And they would like, he would kill.
Right.
Throw your hands in the air. Like you just don't care.
Oh, man.
He would kill. And the bands didn't like that.
Right.
What is this? He's getting a bigger response than we are.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of like generational stuff going on. And I guess cultural, you could say too, because if you grew up in the land and the culture of musicians, this guy's getting paid playing records. It was really hard for them to
visualize that. Like, what's his purpose? Like,
exactly,
he's replaceable.
Exactly,
but he's not. You know what I mean? They don't know that he's not replaceable.
It started taking jobs away. Guys, it used to be the band played Saturday night, and now you got the hip hop DJ.
Ooh, he comes in with one homie holding the other side of the turntable. Exactly. That's it. It's 10 of y'all. It's 2 of them. You know.
So the guy's paying them $200 and he's happy.
Right.
Instead of paying you guys a G.
Exactly. No sound check. None of that type of shit.
So it was. It's interesting because I look back at the articles, and you can see like the book ends. One of the big things is I did an interview with Herc, Bambaataa, and Flash for The Source in '92. The book goes up until '93. And because that's when I kind of stopped being a full-time music writer. And to get the three of them together, it's the only time that I know of they ever all sat down. And it's like this journey from in the park. It's kind of like kid music. It's not inside. People don't want it in their clubs.
Right.
So like, okay, come on, we'll have Flash will play. We can let him play a little bit here and here. The guys who are selling Angel Dust, because people forget Dust was big.
Man, that's what it was.
Dust was big, man. Before this crack thing.
Right, the Angel Dust and Sherm and shit.
For real. So that was the beginning when they started. That was the era when they were starting to let hip hop people in the club. Right. The Angel Dust era. Some of them guys were just letting them in so they could sell more dust.
Dust blunts.
They were bringing it because it was bringing the crowd in.
Right. Exactly. Dang. So
all of that was going on, and then it's kind of because the crack era, in a way, it helped the story. I mean, I say weird, but it made the storytelling more compelling. Because if you listen to a lot of these records up until then, it's eeny meeny mouse kind of rapping a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's very simple.
Yeah.
There's some street stuff, but it's not hardcore. There's a lot of party.
LL maybe. I don't know who else was hard.
I mean, no. When remember Schoolie D?
Oh, well, of course, the start of it.
Yeah,
really.
like that when Schoolie D. Yo, man, Schoolie D used to come on. He used to have a radio.
And that's crack era, though.
Yeah,
right?
that's the beginning.
Yeah.
He used to play on
What's that line though, man?
Which one?
That famous main line, man.
PSK. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah. PSK. What the hell does that mean?
Parkside Killers, I think.
Something in a little trunk. Then I beat the ass off this little punk. Something like that. Yeah, but I know. Yep.
Well, I mean, I remember it used to come on Mr. Magic. Mm-hmm. It didn't come on. He didn't come on till 2:00 in the morning.
Man.
And that record used to be scary to me. Parkside Killer. That was like, whoa.
Yeah, like ooh.
There was a level that was scary at the time because gangster rap or whatever we want to call it, reality rap, it hadn't existed.
That was the first song.
I think so.
That was the first song. But look, you also
right.
You've transcended, of course, music now, like film and everything, right? One thing I noticed that you did, man, that was super hot was this Misty Copeland project, man. She's so beautiful, man.
Yeah.
And
she's from San Pedro.
I learned that from watching. Like, damn, she's been right around the way. Yeah. She is so beautiful. And what's a trip is how I got into her. You sort of brought up, and which was, people notice her for her like body and her the art of her, because she's like an art piece, like a sculpture almost. She's so perfect and put so much work in, right?
Yeah.
And so how I first learned about her was a poster that said everybody wants to be her, and then at the bottom it shows her a hole in her ballerina shoes or whatever, and she got tape all on her toes and all that stuff or whatever. Yeah. They said, but you don't want the toes. Yeah. It was deep.
Right. Well, she's the hardest working, toughest person I've ever met.
Man.
Because she dances on her toes, man. Okay? Mm-hmm. And she's going through a lot of injury. She's an athlete.
Right.
Number one. She's an athlete who's an artist. And that's the way I understood when I met her, because I wasn't coming from I had no ballet background.
Athlete and an artist.
Yes, at the same time. Because the physical shape that she's in and the strength it takes to do that is, none of us, we're not dancing on our toes, man.
No. Or nothing else on our toes.
No. And her ability to do that and look graceful doing it, it means total control of your entire anatomy. Right. I met her, it's a funny story. So I'd first heard of her because of Prince. She danced with Prince on his Coming to America tour, Around the World tour, some kind of tour he had. He would do 20 shows in New York, or he did the Forum, I know, for
same type of thing. Right.
So she was on that tour.
Oh.
She came out and she danced on the piano.
Oh.
That's the first time I saw her, whichever year that was. And so I went to a party, a woman named Bevy Smith, she's on TV and does a lot of gossip stuff. She used to give these kind of tastemaker parties. So I go to the party, and there's this beautiful woman at the end of the table. I'm like, oh, who's that? She looks familiar. Mm-hmm. Let me switch my cards so I can sit next to her. And it turned out that, she was the ballerina from the Prince thing.
Right.
So I started talking to her. I met her manager, and I was like, I've never been to a ballet. Can you hook me up somehow? And they got me a ticket to what turned out to be a very important event. She was going to be the first black woman to dance the Firebird dance at the Met in New York City. No one had never been done. Not with a white ballet company.
Wow.
So it was like a Jackie Robinson type moment.
Huh?
So she comes out, and I've seen all these black people in the crowd. Like, oh, wow, I didn't know that black people went to ballet. She dances. It's amazing. I've never been to ballet. I'm kind of like, wow, this is crazy. I'll go backstage, and she says, well, thank you for coming. I'm in a great deal of pain. So she was dancing on 5 fractures in her left shin. So essentially, she was going to endure the pain, and because she was not going to not do that performance.
Wow!
But the next day they went and had surgery, man.
That's some Kobe Bryant shit right there.
No, very
type
much
shit.
so. So they're both Virgos, by the way.
Wow, man.
So she went and did that. So when I met her, I was like, well, this is the story. So I asked her, can I follow you while you make your recovery? Because it was a story. Either she makes it back, it's a great story, or if she doesn't make it back, it's also an interesting story.
Right.
So I followed her around, just me and a camera at first for a couple of months. Then I was able to raise a little bit more money and add more crew people. And I ended up following her around for more or less 2.5 years.
Wow.
Till she came back, and the whole thing was she going to be made what they call a prima ballerina? Mm-hmm. Like, she going to be made a major, like you were one of the ones.
Right.
And we had to wait for that, So so documentaries are very different than other kinds of filmmaking, because that kind of filmmaking, when you're experienced, you got to wait for stuff to happen.
Right.
You just have to be aware. And we put the time in, and just as we were finishing,
and you don't know what's going to happen.
Absolutely,
it's unwritten.
We didn't know. I mean, we had no idea if she was going to come back, and there was. Right. That's why I say she's so strong. I've seen the journey.
Man,
I've seen the injuries. I've been to the doctor. I've seen the X-rays. Now she's been a prima ballerina for like 5, 6 years. Actually, we're working on a new project.
Yeah,
we were just up in Oakland 2 weeks ago, and we're going to be working on a project about homelessness in the Bay Area. Well, homeless in general, we shot in the Bay. Her husband is from Oakland, so we decided to work up there. And it's basically, our concept is you have a ballerina like her and a street dancer. Like, what's that dancing they do in Oakland?
The hyphy dance?
Not hyphy. It's going to kill me. I should know this.
Oakland?
Turfing.
Oh, turfing! I don't know turfing.
It's the current. It's the new shit. It's the new stuff. So it's mixing her ballet style with a street. So we're working on developing a short film. He'll be a homeless kid.
Oh, about the meshing of the two.
Yeah, but but he's a homeless kid, so using that meshing to tell a story and bring people attention to the homeless crisis in California.
Wow, man. This is the first time I even have heard or considered of looking at her like an artist as well as a dancer. Oh, yeah, but it is. Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
She's
right?
an athlete, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like you see her workouts.
Man, I bet, bro.
Yeah. So that's one of the proudest things I've done is to work on that, because I didn't know anything about ballet. A lot of stuff I've done, okay, I know music, I know hip hop, I know R&B, but this was like I just went in blind just because I knew there's a story. So the fact that we got it done and you can rent it, it's on Amazon and iTunes and played in theaters for a while. It's amazing.
Wow, man. Dang, what was I gonna say? So another thing regarding the filmmaking, you did this project that was Finding the Funk.
Oh, yeah.
That's hot, too, man. Just even the idea of you listen to things like funk or jazz, and you just think they're always there, but it was creative,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, funk is the bald-headed stepchild of black music.
Okay.
I say that because we all know about Motown. We all know about Aretha and soul music. We all know about hip-hop. We even know about disco.
Right.
Funk is the thing, for whatever reason, funk is the foundation of hip-hop. James Brown, Sly, Harlem Funkadelic, Dyke and the Blazers, you can name them. All those samples are every record we love.
Right, is that.
But those artists are not, for whatever reason, they've never been given the praise that
James Brown has.
Well, James Brown, but I mean, like, there's a whole ton of people, man.
I know there are.
I mean, not to say like everyone. You ask a kid now, he can name you 15 rappers.
Right.
They can't name 15 bands.
Oh, no.
And so that was the reason we did it. We did it with VH1, and the only problem I've had with it is that we're trying to put it back out. There's a version of it called the director's cut, which we've been having some issues because I did it with VH1, and certain materials in it they own, and then so it's you're dealing with a big income corporate.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to put that back out desperately because I feel like funk is actually coming back.
Yeah, I would say so too. And like you said something interesting that I never thought about is how the people who really started the funk movement were people that were parts of other people's bands, right?
Yes.
And their instrumentation is what really separated them and made them a star. And they went out and became this funk.
Bootsy was in James Brown's band. You know, Earth, Wind & Fire, Maurice White was a drummer for Ramsey Lewis. George Clinton and those guys, they were in a vocal group.
Right.
So almost all of them were, because there was an era when everything in black music was the singer with a band. Whether it was, whether it's Otis or Aretha, you came, or Marvin, you came to see the singer and the band was really good.
Right.
Funk is when, okay, we don't need you.
That's right.
We can be the stars.
Yes.
And that's what funk was. Funk was like 5-10 guys on stage with their shirts off.
Right. And maybe some glitter on their belt.
Absolutely. Some glitter on their belt and some eyeliner and some spaceships.
Yeah, little spaceships and some spliffs. Wow, man. So who would you give the sort of creation credit, if you will, to funk?
It's definitely Brown.
Oh, it's definitely Brown.
It's definitely Brown and the JBs.
Brown and the JBs.
Absolutely.
Okay, they get the credit.
With Fred Wesley and Maceo Parker and that whole crew. But I also would say that Sly took funk and made it sophisticated. And then so you had Brown was the rawest thing possible. And you had Sly, raw, but was like arrangement and different melodies. And then you go up and you look at there's Earth and Fire, the Ohio Players, Harlem Funkadelic, Kool and the Gang, so many great bands, Slave.
Right, so many.
So it went, those are the roots of it, and then it was big from early 70s until really what killed it kind of was the keyboards. When everyone got 808s and they started, because you can look at Earth and Fire and they had, I don't know, 11 guys.
Yeah.
One day you look up, there's 3.
Yeah.
Cameo
man.
Cameo had 11 guys.
Cold-blooded.
Then they came back and they had some big hits, Word Up, that whole era. But that was after they got rid of the horn section, and it was just Larry Blackman and a couple other dudes.
Yeah, facts.
And they had some big hits because they were on a few groups from the era that adapted.
Oh yeah, exactly. And you had to think about them because they got their start right over here, right on Crenshaw, right here.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, Total Experience.
Total Experience. Oh, Total Experience, man! Wow.
They but that's the thing. They had a club where they could perform. And the
Gap Band.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing.
Where was Total Experience? How close was that?
Shit was like right to the corner, right across.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Lonnie Simmons, that was his club, man.
Man, exactly.
Wow.
And you know who's do you know Suave? Suave, the music manager?
No.
Oh, you don't know Suave. Okay, because his pops and uncles, they were a part of that too.
Okay.
Yeah. He used to manage Farside, Tone Loc, and all them.
I should have met him.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's so funny because I remember when I first came out here, and I think it was 82. But I remember going out here, Carlos and Charlie's, not Carlos and Charlie's, what am I thinking about Maverick Flat?
Oh, Maverick Flat.
That was right over here too,
yeah,
right?
which is right there about, you could just 1/2 block. Yeah.
So I remember coming out, I didn't know where, I was from New York, I didn't know where I was.
Yeah,
But I definitely came out here to shows.
Okay.
LA in the 80s, man, it was fun. There was lots of clubs where you could go see music, live music, all over town. I really remember being excited coming out here.
People coming out here to be a star, man.
Yeah.
So are you following all this, election stuff, voting stuff?
Yeah.
What do you think about, there's a lot of talk right now, a couple issues I want to just talk about. One is about the idea that are we asking for enough in these elections from our candidates, we as black people? Have you thought of that?
Black people are always asking. I don't know. It's hard, politics is transactional. And sometimes we haven't, in my opinion, I'm not an expert on this, been able to leverage all of our power as effectively as we could.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, one thing about the people who are kind of against us, I'll use that as a general phrase.
Yeah, whoever they are.
Yeah, they're very organized. And they're able to activate them to come out for what they want. sometimes I feel like we haven't always gotten, because when you look at gentrification, which is a big issue for me, a lot of what happened in the neighborhoods that got gentrified is that it started happening and we weren't really discussing it in a consistent way. There's a lot of organizing after the door is open. So things like, okay, someone's losing their house because they got on back taxes.
Right.
What can they do about it? Is there a fund? Is there because half of these properties that were lost, it's back taxes all the time, and they get the houses snatched from them, and that leaves them open. I mean, there's so many cases, man, and this is New York, L.A., this is all over the country. Right. Black family has a house. The parents get older, the kids got it. The kids don't, whatever reason, don't take care of the place.
Or they want to take the money out of it. They want to sell it and take the money out,
and boom.
And then you can't. The thing about selling your place to take the money out, then you can't even go nowhere. You can't even afford your old place no more.
Yeah.
Like the next day. Yeah. You know what I mean? So then, like, where are you going to take your dough for it to matter? You got to go way the hell out somewhere.
Lancaster, right?
Yeah, you got to go to Lancaster or, Riverside, wherever. But it's like, I think it defeats the purpose, man. I think it's like short vision, man.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm a victim of this too. I know in Brooklyn, the house I just saw this the other day. The first apartment that I had, my first apartment as an adult was as a solo person was in 1985, and the building had just been purchased by these two Caribbean brothers for, I think they got it for $800,000 or maybe not even, like $600,000, something like that, in Fort Greene. Someone sent me a picture of the old building. It's going for 2.7.
Oh, of course.
And so there's examples of that all over where either I wasn't able to buy the place or other people weren't able to take care of it. So to me, when I talk about political power, I think it's really about how do we create organizations that we can go to in times of need, not just agitate politically, but agitate economically. And I feel like the gentrification thing, it's always been about how do we hold on to what we have? How are we able to create institutions, financial, that allow us to hold on? And to me, I think that's been a missing piece.
Right. I think that's us standing together in a lot of instances is our best power. And whether that's spending power together, whether it's even voting together as a unit.
But it's going to be hard because, one thing that this election has shown is that Black adults who've been voting because the vote means a lot to them are voting more than the young people who are complaining about the voting.
Oh, yes.
And, and I see people, a lot of stuff's going on about this conspiracy, they're taking away from Sanders. If you look at the numbers, it's just plain out voting.
Right.
It's just, I'm very proud. Older Black people have been coming out.
It is voting. It is just that.
Yeah.
It is just voting.
And they're coming out and voting, and they're voting for what they feel comfortable with. And that's democracy.
Look, exactly. Who do I feel comfortable with? The thing about Sanders that can't connect with them is like he kind of has he talks with pipe dreams, at least if you're an older person, that's not all progressive and, looking for the next thing, still growing in your mind and all that. You're like, hey, slow down, man. What you doing, man? Yeah. Or you'll never get that done, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's so when you're young, you're optimistic and see the sky.
That's
when you're older, you're like, it's things happen more incrementally. So, that's been one of the things that struck me about this election is that the Black people are very pragmatic about what they're going to do. And they're much more conservative, I think, than people give us credit for.
Exactly.
In terms of what we really, really do. Because, the Black people who have homes or businesses or have built something, they're very risk averse. Because they're probably, if my parents, they're the first or second generation to have anything.
Right.
To have any, property and have, 401ks.
Yeah.
Or whatever else. And so that group is not like, I'm not trying to throw they're not really, I know things are bad or not as good as they could be, but I'm not ready to blow everything up.
Right.
Because I'm not sure that's going to work.
Right. Exactly. And if you get to the point where you like your life, then you just want to keep it that way.
Yeah. So it's an interesting, this election's been interesting in that way. And that, and also, listen, all those older black people, they look at Trump like, oh, I know what you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man.
No, I'm whatever it takes to get you out, because you remind me of some stuff.
Yes.
That I don't want to go back to.
I've been seeing all my life. Exactly, man. I would say that I don't know, man. It's hard. Like I go back and forth on, is Trump going to win? Are we going to remove him? You know, I go back and forth, man. I can't call it.
Well, we'll see, but I feel like the forces are aligned right now to. I mean, you know, even what's going on with the virus, I mean, how this has been handled. I mean, he's incompetent.
Oh, man, exactly. All the way. But it's like no one cares about that.
No, I think people care. People care.
When it come down to that ugly red virus, you seen a picture of that shit, that coronavirus?
No.
Man, it look nasty, man. Like I would not want that in my throat, bro. In my lungs, man. It got like fire on the edges and shit. It's crazy looking, man.
Well, apparently when it gets in your lungs is the real danger.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I got this notice today from someone a credible person that said that you should test yourself every day. And all you have to do is breathe in as deep as you can, fill your lungs, and hold it for 10 seconds. If you can hold it and it doesn't hurt, you don't have it. Because it would, this man try right now. Because it will apparently be eating your lungs up from the inside.
I'm good right now, man. We're good. We can shake hands.
Yeah. You're still alive, baby. So, dang, what else I want to talk about? Writing.
Right.
So, you do so much, man, from, lending yourself as a personality, as a historian, writing articles, producing, everything. Where does writing, literature writing books and book projects fall into all that?
Writing is the backbone of everything. Everything. I don't do as many books as I used to. It's not as profitable as it used to be. I don't do journalism like I used to because it's not as profitable as it used to be. But I write almost every day. And writing, because writing is it helps you with story structure. Mm-hmm. It helps you with logic, because to put one sentence after another in a consistent way means you have to figure out a flow that makes sense to people.
Right.
So I think it helps me with all these things. And through journalism, I met so many people. It's amazing how much I'm always shocked, man. Stuff that I did way back, when I was a kid, still comes back and is valuable to me. Or people remember me and give me give me a break. They might talk to me because of something I wrote back in 1985 or 86.
That's crazy,
yeah,
man.
It's I'm always surprised at. They say black people don't read. It's not true. Black people read.
Right.
They really do.
Oh yeah.
And I tell you what, black men read a lot of books about culture, music, and business. And I have my girlfriend. She can even tell you this, man. She always goes like, we can go to the door of almost any club in America, and the brother door be like, oh yeah. That brother's all right. Let him in. I think all the doormen and black doormen are home watching documentaries,
getting love from the documentary circuit.
No, for real, man. It's a really interesting phenomenon.
That's hot.
It's funny because I think a lot of people have read my books in college. I get a lot of people who read the books in college, especially like the Deaf Rhythm and Blues, Hip Hop America.
Have you gotten militant in your book, in your writing?
What do you mean by militant, though?
Whatever you would consider, like militant, like.
I mean, the most militant thing I ever wrote probably was in many ways the Deaf Rhythm and Blues. Because the argument in that book was, because I paralleled it to the Negro Leagues in baseball. We had created a valuable resource that had then been strip mined to some degree by bigger companies. And, giving artists more money, there's nothing wrong with that. But we had never been, it goes back to the thing about economics. We had never really asserted control of our own music. And we lost control of it to a great degree. And when I said the Deaf Rhythm and Blues, I was talking about not just about the music, but the whole structure of how our culture worked. What happened is that hip hop came in and replaced the old way with another way. But again, to me, my way of thinking, was a lot of what's going on with hip hop now is been so commodified as pop music that to me it's lost a lot of its connections to the things that made it black music. I mean, I'm an old guy. This is my opinion. Right. But I feel like it's really not even about the music. It's about a lot of other things now. It's about your social media presence and stuff like that. I'm a music guy.
Yeah, it's not all about the music. It's about your personality, how you dress, where you're from, who you know.
Yeah.
Like all those play factors. And then there's like the music too.
Right.
You know
the
what I
music's
mean?
almost become a commercial for the persona.
Yeah, for the
which is
person.
fine, I guess, but it's not what I...
If that's what we're doing.
No.
But...
I mean, like one thing I can say, I've been living in L.A. A lot the last 2 years. I'm loving Thundercat, Anderson .Paak.
Oh, yeah.
Terrace Martin. There's a lot of great young musicians here. Adrian Young. There's so much. So I've enjoyed. I feel like there's for some reason right now, I feel like, you know how it moves around? LA, sometimes it's New York, sometimes it's Atlanta, sometimes whatever.
Right.
I feel like LA right now is having a great cultural moment because you can live, you can get space. There's a lot of clubs. Like New York is just overbuilt now with so many condos and stuff. So I go out and see a lot more live music here than I did in New York.
Damn.
There's a lot of great young musicians and they're out, I've just named a few, but I mean, there's so much good live music here and music coming out of this city.
Right. Definitely.
And guys who can really play.
And then there's a lot of people coming here now too. Everybody's here now.
Yeah.
People used to claim where they're from and stay there, whether it's Chicago, New York, Atlanta, Texas. Man, it's like a lot of people coming in.
Let me tell you, I go to a party on a Friday night that friends of mine, DJ Most and DJ Kiss do up in it's at the One Hotel Friday nights. And they're New York DJs who moved out here. And so I go there to see all the old New Yorkers.
Really? Are you talking downtown?
No, this one's the only one in Hollywood I go to. It's up on Sunset at the One Hotel. It's called
at the one?
Party and Bullshit.
Oh, I never messed with it.
So it has a core group of folks. But most of the time I'm actually downtown Echo Park. I go to Echoplex all the time. Have great shows.
Echoplex, yeah.
DJ Spinner's there. There's a lot of new. What's some other man? DJ Spinner. My man who does the Afro funk thing. Damn, Rich Medina. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. So I interviewed him, man. Yeah.
All these great DJs. So they used to be New York DJs. Now they're just global DJs.
Exactly, man. Yeah. And the DJ is getting his rightful place to me, which is kind of becoming bigger than the artist, like they started off.
Yeah. No, it's very much about like Rich Medina comes, he's doing some kind of show downtown. I'm going to go to it. When Spinner's here, I always catch Spinner because he's got the Stevie Wonder party, which he does. He did 2 years in a row outside, and MacArthur Park.
Oh no shit!
4 or 5 hours, fantastic.
Wow. Okay.
Spinner does his Michael Jackson versus Prince party. You ever going to that?
No, I heard about it though.
Money.
I heard about it though.
Money.
Wow.
He does it at Echoplex like every year. So like even though I've been in LA, a lot of the parties and stuff that I knew from New York, now they're global parties.
Right.
Or they're national parties.
Right.
So I've been enjoying it out here, man. I also even a place in Highland Park. I go to the Lodge Room.
Oh, the Lodge Room.
Beautiful venue, man.
Yeah, cool little spot. Huh?
Yeah. So I found a lot of spots that I can hear.
I see you getting around.
Oh no, definitely, man.
Getting around. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. So, dang, what's another thing I wanted to say about your books?
Well, let me look commercial here while we're here.
Oh, go for it, man.
This is the Nelson George mixtape. If you can't buy it in a store, it's available through Pacific, which is a publishing company out of New York. It's $28. If you go on Instagram, go to pacificbooks.pub. You can get this book. And, it's a collection of my stuff from 1977 to 1993. So Michael Jackson, Marvin Gaye, Prince, also Bambaataa, Flash, a lot of funk coverage. It's a real collection. It's a real journey.
And were you covering these people, or were you doing
Bob Marley? I forgot about Bob Marley.
Were you doing interviews? Or
both.
You interviewed Bob Marley?
Yeah, it's in there.
Wow, man! Tell me, how was that?
That's a funny story. So, 1980, and now by 1980, I'm not quite totally legitimate, but I'm almost legitimate. Bob Marley at that point was really interested in trying to reach Black American audience. He had a white audience, he had a Jamaican audience, but the Black American thing was still not totally happening. So he took a job. He didn't have to do it. He opened for the Commodores on a tour. there was a guy named Lister Ewan Lowe who was a black executive at the record company that he was at. Mm-hmm. And he said, "You want to interview Bob Marley? Can you get it in a black newspaper?" I said, yes, sir. Mm. So Bob Marley was staying at a place called the Essex House on Central Park. What's that? Central Park South. And, I go into the room. I'm probably, so what, 80? How old am I? Like 20, 21 in there. 20, I think. Like I'm saying I'm 20. So I'm like, yeah, I'm meeting Bob Marley.
Yeah, all day, huh?
I go in, Bob Marley, there's some beautiful women walking around, Bob Marley sits in a chair. He's curled up in a chair with him and a guitar. I sit across from him. I got a little,
Hey, Mr. Marley. Hey, Robert.
And so I ask him a question, and then he's puff in a giant spliff.
Damn. Did he pass it to you?
No. He plays a little guitar. No, I wasn't trying to smoke. I was trying to be professional.
I
got
you,
man.
I got you.
And then he would give me an answer. So that's in there. And what's funny is I did a whole long Q&A with him. And then, he played, this is wild. So he does a show that week. It's Curtis Blow, Bob Marley, and the Commodores.
Wow.
At Madison Square Garden.
Bob Marley and the Commodores. Damn.
So all the Jamaicans are cool. They like the Commodores at first. When they roll out that white piano for Lionel Richie to start doing the ballads, they all got up and left. Like, nice. I'm not listening.
Was with the other stuff. Huh?
I'm not listening to Easy.
Right.
But that's the same week that Bob Marley stubbed his toe in Central Park playing soccer.
It happened in Central Park?
Yeah. And that same week. And then he got diagnosed with cancer. And then he did one more show. He did another show in New York. He did one show in Pittsburgh, and that was it. And he died within about 4 or 5 months after that.
I was getting ready to say it happened so fast,
man.
But
I don't think I think in retrospect, I think that he probably knew something was going on.
What, before the toe?
Yeah, I think he probably.
Okay, that's been a theory of mine.
I'm pretty sure. And the toe, it just got too bad to be ignored. And here's what I don't, anyway, I don't want to go into the whole thing, but they wanted him to amputate the toe. Mm-hmm. They thought they could save him. Mm-hmm. But I believe, and people who are Rastafarians can correct me, but I believe they don't believe in that.
Right. That's how I heard it.
So he went to other kind of treatment, but it got too far along. Mm-hmm. So it's really weird. So by the time I had my 20-year-old self had this thing ready to go, I couldn't sell it anywhere because all this other coverage of Bob Marley had come out. And what's funny, you'll appreciate. Do you remember Players Magazine?
Yeah.
So somewhere in here, where is it? I have a rejection slip from Players Magazine about telling me what they felt.
Oh, trying to sell that story?
Yeah. Oh, here we go, right here. It said, I apologize for this very long delay in responding to you. Your Marley interview should be very valuable now, but blah, 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 blah. Thank you for your interest in Players. This is from July 2nd, 1981, man.
Dang, man.
So I wanted to put those into because I put a lot of rejection slips in there because I wanted to document the fact that it's not an easy, that it wasn't like just it was a journey, and there's a lot of no.
Yeah,
a lot of no.
Isn't it mostly no?
It's a lot of no, especially starting out.
To begin, it's mostly no.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Unless you're like a superstar or whatever.
And
actually, mostly no was probably good for me because it made me work harder. Mm-hmm. And I had to look at why wasn't I selling. Uh-huh. And then it took, when you read this book, one thing you can see is the writing gets better as I get older.
Well, okay. So that's one thing, right?
Yeah.
Is that, it takes time to be an expert at anything.
Absolutely.
Right? And you can't give up because you'll never get there, right?
Yeah.
What made you? When did you know that you had a gift as a writer, or that was where your purpose to be a writer? Like, was this early on, like in elementary school and all that? Or
when I was a teenager, when I was an adolescent, I really got into writing, and I'd always been a big reader from the time I was little. And at some point, I said, well, maybe I want to be a writer. And I read all these biographies of writers, and a lot of them drank a lot of alcohol. It's like, I hope I don't have to do that. Mm-hmm. So at one point, I remember one time I got my typewriter out and I got a couple of cans of Oli.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I got to drink the beer. That didn't work out.
That didn't work out. No. Yo, man, I need some 8-ball, man, for me to write. Hell nah, huh?
Hell no.
You get about 2 words down and be like, fuck this. Wait till tomorrow. Right? Damn.
But it was good, man. So it was really that period of my life when I was sort of a teenager, and that's when I really said, okay, I really want to do this, and started trying to figure out how to get better at it.
Yeah.
You got to read.
You got to read. You got to read to write, right?
Absolutely.
Got to read to write. Dang, man. Well, look, man, we at our end of our hour, man. We only get a quick hour.
No coronavirus. You good. My lungs are good.
Yeah. Look. Hold it in.
No, you don't hold it in long enough, man.
I've been doing it all day. I've been testing it like, all right, am I good? Am I good? No, really, man. So I really appreciate it, bro. Anytime you want to push something, get some word out or whatever, shoot it to me.
This Thursday, I will be at the Art Form Studio in Highland Park, 7 o'clock, signing some books. Come on through.
Oh, okay. What time?
7 o'clock.
Oh, 7 o'clock. All right, man. I'll fall through there myself. It's close to me. I live out in like Pasadena.
Oh, so. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, let's do this, man. All right, y'all. Thanks for joining again, man. We had a nice, fun evening with you guys. Leave all your comments and stuff, man. I'll be answering everybody. I'm King Mike Boogie on all my stuff. Mike Rob Boulevard. Where can they find you?
315 Nelson George on Instagram and Nelson George on Twitter and Facebook.
All right, y'all. We out of here, man. Have a good one, man. Be safe. Get that coronavirus out your lungs. Blow.
Hey, man, I love that loveliness right there. From sea to shining sea, I'm the only MC to see.